Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now.
I got you here on the edge with me, Brains. Look who it is. It is the one and only great, magnificent marketing maven, Kae Wagner. I can't keep up with
Awesome.
her. I don't know where she is, if she's on the East Coast, if she's down south, if she's here in California. She's such a jet setter. But she is an amazing woman. She is the founder of North Star Marketing. And we're going to talk about marketing. But we're going to talk about marketing and confidence and
Mhm.
courage and also cockiness because
Oh,
women are taking over the planet. I don't know if y'all didn't get the email, okay, but it's going down. What's happening in the world is that not just men, but women on women are intimidated. Cockiness and rudeness and backbiting and all that. That's not going to get us where we need to be. So she's going to help us smooth that out. So help me welcome her to the edge today, the beautiful Kae Wagner. How are you, beautiful?
I am wonderful. And you look lovely yourself, April. You look like you are in party mode.
Hey, if somebody got to do it, might as well be me. See, there's
And you
that.
do it so well. I mean, really, you do it so
Thank
well.
thank you, thank you, thank you. So, we're going to weave in and out of the conversation because you are so textured. You have so much to offer. And I really want to take advantage of this time that we have together to try to get in as much as possible. But tell us a little bit about your journey and where this
Yeah.
all started for you about 30 years ago.
Yeah. So 30 years ago, I started a company, North Star Marketing. And 30 years ago, whole different world, whole different zero technology going on back then, right? So the interesting thing, April, is that you fast forward 30 years, the marketing principles are the same. The things still work. We just do them differently. We just use apps and technology and all kinds of other things. But the foundational principles of marketing are the same. And so, whether you were working 30 years ago, you're working now, you got to pay attention to the ABCs of marketing, to blocking and tackling, as they, say in sports. And you need to make sure that you've got yourself a foundation, that you have everything rock solid, and then making sure that you've got all of your venues covered.
Well,
So 30 years ago, April, you and I would not have been having this conversation this way,
oh no, 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 no.
right?
Probably
Right.
wouldn't have been having the conversation at all. We would have been behind some typewriter and
That's
some
right.
desk in the corner writing copy
Mhm.
for somebody else and not having a voice and visibility. But
That's right.
now you say the ABCs of marketing.
Right.
People misconstrue sales and marketing.
That's correct.
Can you define the difference for us?
I can. I can tell you the difference. So, marketing is, if you think of a pyramid, right? Marketing is your foundation. In marketing, we look at what is your product or your program? Who is your market? Who are you going after? You're not going after the whole world, you're going after a slice, right? There's riches and niches. So you go after a niche market. You have a product, a program that speaks specifically to the issues, the problems that that niche market wants to solve, and you provide the solution to them. It's very basic. Somebody has a problem, you have a solution, they will exchange money for the value you give them. It's the world of commerce. I have a solution, you have a problem, we swap. You get your issue solved, I get money, and we keep moving on. Okay, so that's one part of it. Another part of marketing, so a lot of people confuse communication with marketing. Marketing is actually the very way that you structure your offer, your program, your approach, your intellectual property, your proven processes, your methodologies. And it also includes your pricing structure. So here's one thing that people miss about marketing. Pricing is an indication to the market of the value that you are exchanging, of the
Can you say
value
that
that
again?
you are bringing.
Can you say that again, please? Because people don't understand that you are providing a service that needs to be valuable. And, please say that again. They have no idea of what value is.
Right. So pricing is a direct reflection of the value that you're providing to your market, to the world, to your niche. Just real easy example of that, April, is like you look at retail bricks and mortar store. All right, you look at Dollar General, and then you look at the upscale stores with the prices that are way off the charts, right?
Mhm.
You know immediately what the value is going to be. Now, here's the thing. If you buy a high-end product, you're going to pay a high-end price for it. You're going to get things that are intangible that drive that price up. And that's what we call branding. Branding and the value that a brand brings, the consistency, the quality, the value. The branding sits on top of the marketing. It's a way of creating a shortcut. Branding is a
Mhm.
shortcut for the buyer to say, oh, yes, I want that.
Mhm.
Okay. So a brand kind of takes all the values, all the attributes, the characteristics, and puts it into a shortcut for the buyer to say, yes, I want that.
And it's
Think
also
Coke.
association.
Yes.
I mean,
Mhm.
when you see a logo is just not the brand, it's the story
Right.
behind it, it's the
Mhm.
colors behind it, it's the mission,
Right.
it's how they align themselves.
Right. It's
You
the
can't
interaction.
exactly, who they are aligning themselves with, because you see a lot of people that get endorsements
Mhm.
as brand ambassadors, and they go and
Right.
fly off the chart and get a DUI or something, and off they go. They lose their
Boom.
endorsement and everything. It is how you are representing. So let's
Right. And
talk
so
about.
what happens with the brand, April, is that in the world of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, you are the brand, right? You are the personal brand, and who you are is the brand. And so that happens either by design or default, but it happens. And so you can either let it happen and it just happens, or you can actually create it.
Right.
And then you have a powerful tool to use in your marketing. And so then going up the ladder, you get to communications. That's, your outward messaging. And then sales is when you bridge from all of that messaging going out to actually bringing people in via the vehicle of payment of price.
Right.
And that's where the exchange happens. And here's what, when I talk about the foundation and the blocking and tackling, most people, this is so critical, April, don't know where exactly they want somebody to make a decision. Like all this marketing stuff, what's the decision point that is the sales? And that's what people need to get really clear about.
But it's not just the sales, it's not just selling it, it's closing on the deal.
Right.
There's a
Right.
lot of, and I'm speaking to you women brains right now. You don't make the ask, baby. And
I
if you
know
don't
that's a
make the
problem.
ask, oh, you're waiting for someone to volunteer that $1,500 or $2,000. That's not how business works. You will
Yes,
see men go out on a golf course and they'll be out there 45 minutes and they've made multi-million-dollar deals.
it's true.
Where when you're working with women, it's got to be co-signed on, or I've got to think about it, or I don't know. You have to be a risk taker. And so when you have these key strategies in place, like you say, when you have your branding and you have your marketing, uh, and you ask for the sale, you've got to be
Right.
able to ask for the payment as well. Wouldn't you agree, Kay?
Yes. And that's the thing. That's a problem, April, we have got to fix. We have to fix this thing about women not saying, okay, it's going to cost you $10,000. You're going to sign up today. Okay, good.
Yep.
Now, April, I know when I talked to you originally, you had no problem asking me for money, or you had no problem inviting me into your world, or whatever your ask was. I
I
don't
do it for
remember it.
sport. I've been an
Oh,
entrepreneur since I was 5 years old, so I do it for sport. But also, it's not just that; it's the art of negotiation
it
because
is. Mhm.
you can't leave money on the table, brains. They may not have 10; they may have 8.5. Do you
Right.
want 8.5 or do you want zero?
Let's go for 8.5.
Go for 8.5. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
I had a woman that taught me this amazing strategy. We were selling multimedia projection, and we went in and they told us how much their budget was. And then she says, okay, how much flexibility do you have? Up to, and she just got quiet.
Mhm.
The person on the other side of the table couldn't take the silence and gave it up and said, oh, well,
Right.
we've got, a $15,000 budget. She says, good, I can bring you in at 14.5. You got to be, I loved it. I loved it. And so again, but
Right.
sometimes money can get in the way, because
Mhm.
the barter is a very powerful tool too, if it is
Right.
valuable. Someone can teach a class for you, someone can work on your website, someone can put you on
Mhm.
podcasts, somebody can do copy,
Mhm.
create your presence,
That's
create
right.
your brand. But it has to be of equal or greater value, because
Right.
other than that, it's not a win-win. And you
Yeah.
determine your win. People say, oh, this is a win-win. You don't determine my win. I determine
Right.
my win, and you
Mhm.
determine your win. Right, Kay?
Right. That's exactly right. And so the thing is I've always taught people, when you are selling your programs, marketing your programs, you haven't had a real conversation until you talk about money. And when you talk about money, that's the opening part of the conversation. Because then there's this negotiation, how, tight is this, and what's the flexibility like you were talking about. So people just need to understand it's a process.
It
It's
is.
not like going to the store and looking at the tag. It's a conversation. It's a sales conversation.
Right. And you know what I find fascinating too is sometimes I find that it's kind of tacky and classless. Is the first thing you talk about is money. Let me see what it is. Let's have the conversation
Mhm.
and let me color in the white space. Let me see
Mhm.
what it is that you need, if I can
Right.
fulfill that need. But the first thing you want to talk about is money. And that turns me off,
Mhm.
because there are situations and there are times where, again, money is not an object, it's a
Mhm.
distractor. Let's talk a little bit about confidence, because you are the confidence
Right.
queen. I've watched you. Oh, I've watched some of your interviews, okay? And you really know how to shine up people like brand new money. Kay, it's a challenge in the workplace when you are being perceived as cocky, when actually you are displaying your confidence.
Mhm.
How do we smooth that out?
Right. So here's the thing about cockiness. Cockiness comes with a little bit of a cocktail of part arrogance, part carelessness, part showmanship, right? So it has an outer air about it that's just a little bit, I'm a little bit more than you. Thank you. However, confidence comes, I think, from a deeper place and often is displayed differently. It isn't, so, some people talk about the imposter syndrome, right?
Right.
Like you're putting on airs, you're putting on face, you're putting on, and underneath you're fake. So people who are cocky aren't necessarily, don't have the imposter syndrome. They're not necessarily faking it. They've picked a style that pushes people away.
Mm.
They picked a style that gives them a little bit of showmanship or showboating, if you will, and also just kind of keeps people maybe a little bit at arm's length, which is exactly where they want them. Because to get too close would be to see perhaps some of the fault line within.
Mm. Mm.
And so confidence is really about, from the inside out, based on expertise, experience, knowledge. Living on the planet will give you some confidence if you can pick yourself up and dust yourself off and just keep
And there's
walking
this
forward.
sexiness about confidence. But again, in the workplace, men can come off as cocky,
Right?
or and it can be perceived as confidence. And, I see a lot of women really trying to um, have that masculine air about them
Hmm.
instead of bringing in their femininity.
Hmm.
The soft sale is very gracious too, and it can go a long way.
Yes, it can.
And so, it's hard to, if you've been that person again that's have had that arrogance, it's hard to kind of dull that knife. But
Hmm.
when you lose deals and the word gets out that you are XYZ, that'll tone
Hmm.
you down real quick.
Right, right. I think what happens with cockiness too is there's certain adrenaline rush and a dopamine hit that happens in the brain,
Yeah.
and that gives the brain like some kind of satisfaction. It's like a little bit of hit of juice, and I think I think sometimes, they say that adrenaline addiction is a real thing, and
Okay.
so there's that kind of cockiness, swagger, whatever you want to call it, where people get that hit in the brain, and it just kind of feels good to show it off a little bit, and that's a whole. I mean, we see men doing that in the workplace all the time.
But I've seen that, tying that back to branding. I mean, I look at
Hmm.
some of the greatest marketers, Muhammad Ali. If he
Hmm.
didn't repeatedly say that he was the greatest, you wouldn't have believed
Right,
it.
right.
Look at people like P. Diddy.
Hmm.
If he didn't say he was, the greatest marketer and party promoter, you wouldn't believe it.
Right.
So again, you have to know how to tap dance.
That's
It,
right.
it's a delicate dance. So speaking
Right.
of dancing, let's talk about let's talk about some of the things that you tiptoe into, because you are very philanthropic. You have a great giving heart. Tell me a little
Thank
bit
you.
about some of the programs that you support, and why did you choose those particular programs? What do they mean to you?
Well, some of the things that I support are related to children, um, and I sit on the board of a cleft palate clinic, palate clinic. So kids who are born with cleft palate, cleft lip,
Hmm.
and these kids have, in between birth and when they're 18 years old, they might have 18 operations.
Wow.
And so these kids really are, when they go through the multiple surgeries and the things that modern day medicine is able to do and surgeries are able to do, it's really what I would call a miracle that
Mhm.
these kids, I mean, you think about your face is your face to the world, and to be able to, for a child who's born with um, visible things that aren't normal visibly, and to be able to get that worked on over time, I mean, just changes lives. It's really life changing.
I can
And
imagine.
so I look for things to support that are about children, that are about women. In April, I have a deep, deep passion for women, for girls, and money. I believe that women, that girls especially, are not taught about how to earn money, how to create money, not just earn it, but create it, and then how to care for it so that it cares for you. And one of the things that I think we just really need to focus on within the community of women entrepreneurs is mentoring programs that really help young women understand how the world works from the lens of money, because these girls just aren't being taught that. And I think that's a shame. And so we grow up and we have to learn it the hard way.
Right.
We have to learn it by getting out in the trenches and doing the daily grind and the never ending hustle and doing it and doing it.
Or being in a, being in that victim mentality where you are, stripped of it, or there
Right.
is a, consciously uncoupling and he
Hmm.
walks away with everything.
Right.
Mama taught me at an early age. Now I've been married to Mr. Magnificent 36 years. And you best believe, baby, I got some money in my cookie jar. Because folks change their mind, Kay.
That's right. They
And
do.
you cannot
People
be
do
beholden
change.
on that. I mean, you have the children most of the time.
Mhm.
The children are
Yep.
with the mother. And
Right.
then you are there. You have no options. You have no resources. So let's now
That's right.
talk about your current projects and current
Yes.
offerings. Tell me a
Mhm.
little bit about what you're doing and what you want my brains to come on board with.
Yes. So I would love to talk to your brains about the two ways that I made multi-million dollars in my business, North Star Marketing. And the two key ways that we propelled that business forward and really grew it were the two ways were through speaking and writing. So I was and am a national speaker. I speak about business subjects, marketing subjects, money subjects, and I wrote two books. And when you are an author, when you publish, when you have books that are published, you get that halo effect of being the expert, of, being the guru, and you get invited to speak on stages. Speaking on stages then gives you an even wider platform. You are known, you are visible, you have interesting conversations with beautiful, wonderful people like you, April.
Oh, thank you.
And you bet. And so this just expands your presence and visibility in the world. It allows you to give and make a greater impact in the world. So I want to tell you a story I think you can relate to. When I was a kid, I grew up on a dairy farm, hard work, up early in the morning, out to the barn, right? When I was 5 years old, I would preach to the cows. Nobody else would listen, right? so, so I was taking the cows to church, honey.
That's sweet.
And I said to my brother, who was probably 12 or 13, I said to my brother, I said, when I grow up, I'm going to be a preacher.
Mm,
And he said, no, you're not. And I said, yep, I am. He said, no, you're not, because girls can't be preachers.
mm, mm,
And I said, oh, really? Nope, can't be a preacher. So now, April, I am preaching the mission
mm.
of business, money as a way to grow the world, to grow yourself, to grow your family. I am preaching to the world.
Hallelujah.
Amen. Amen.
Hallelujah. But not only are you preaching, you're very intuitive as well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that is a special gift. And, that's from out there in the field with the cows, you know,
It is.
because there's an energy and there's a synergy and there was a connectivity that you got at a very
Mhm.
early age. And you've been able to master that. So now you are
Yes.
teaching an upcoming course. Don't you have some online courses?
I do. I have several things that I want to offer to your people. We have a program called the Confident Speaker, and it teaches people how to get up on bigger stages and walk off with money in their pockets. We are working a a coaching journey mastermind. We are offering a coaching journey mastermind where we bring people in. We do two really big things. We teach them how to build the guardrails for their business, and then we help them create the conditions for their success. So once you have the guardrails for your business, you know what all the moving pieces are that you need to have in place and you get them going. You are sustainable. You have a foundation. You've got guardrails like a train track, and they're going to get you there. We help them build the conditions for their success. We help them build conditions like your marketing, your selling, your program development, your product development. And that's what we do in the confident journey, the coaching journey. So I have a Facebook group that all your people can join. It's called the Coaching Journey. And in there, we talk about proven solutions to get and keep clients. So that's what we all want, whether you're in corporate world, whether you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, coach, consultant, whatever. We all want to get good clients and keep good clients.
Right.
That's how we build a sustainable business.
Retention is key. You know,
Yes.
it's
Mhm.
not always, and brains, I want you to think about something too. Lead generation. You're casting a wide net, always looking for that next big fish when you are never really cultivating the soil and grabbing the low hanging fruit.
Yes, ma'am.
There is so much there. You know, I love the first of the year. When I used the Rolodex, I used to go through my Rolodex. Hey, make that phone call. How you doing? What you doing? What's your year looking like? How can we collaborate? Yada, yada.
Mhm.
10, 15-minute coffee chats.
Mhm.
Work and cultivate your field. But as you're cultivating your field, baby, you got to pull out them weeds.
Yeah. And
Nothing
you got to
else.
water it.
You gotta water it. You gotta plant. You gotta work it. You gotta work it. You can't just
Right.
collect a bunch of people in your Facebook group like tokens. Never
Mhm.
interact with them.
Mhm.
Never know what their intentions are. Invite them into your personal space, and then here you are talking about you don't have any money. It's
Right.
because you're not working it.
Right. You
Well, we're
got to
on.
work it every day. Every day you got to show up.
You gotta milk it like a pair of udders, huh?
Oh, Lord, I don't want to go back to the farm.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, you know what? You are really, really a go-getter. You're a woman that I admire, and you are definitely
Thank you.
on the A list.
Thank
Brains,
you.
I want you to go and check out Kae Wagner and North Star Marketing. Take a visit, look at the videos, get your appetite wet. It's time to up level.
Mhm.
You cannot stay at that stagnant state. Don't worry about what's going on in the world and the COVID and all that kind of stuff, because tomorrow is not promised to you anyway. So you better start working on it right now. And this is the place to start right here. So,
Yeah.
Kay, please tell my brains how to get in contact with you so that we can get them on the road to success.
Yes. So I think, April, you have a link for the coaching journey. And I would love for all of your people to come to the coaching journey, join the group. It's free. We talk about a lot of strategies, a lot of solutions for getting and keeping clients. We talk about how do you build the guardrails for your success? How do you build the conditions for your success? Very important for foundational and sustainability for the work of your business. People can email me. People can, contact me through the Facebook group as well. Find me on Facebook, friend me, and, let's chat. Any way you want to talk to me, you can find me.
And you can always find her here on the Edge Brains, the place where the
Mhm.
conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Thank you so much, Kae Wagner, for being here on the Edge with me. Come back and visit me and let me know what's going on. I'm gonna build me some guardrails.
All right. All right. Thank you, April.
Thank you, baby. Have a really great day.
You too.
Brains, it's time to level up.